People say to me, we hear this all the time, I don't like doing projections because I think it's just finger in the air, load of bullshit. And I'm like, it is. Plucking numbers out your backside of where you think you're going to go, but at least you then are taking the actions that are going to get you there. You're being strategic about what you should be spending your money on, shouldn't be spending your money.
I love the saying, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it.
Today's episode is sponsored by VBS Medical Limited. It's the exclusive distributor of K-laser therapy and Indiba radiofrequency therapy in the UK and Ireland. K-laser and Indiba are non-invasive therapies that enhance and accelerate the healing process, complementing standard of care, broadening therapeutic opportunities, improving clinical outcomes, generating new profit and distinguishing your clinic from the competition. K-laser and Indiba have a medical device regulation approval, meaning they have scientific publications to validate their clinical applications in practice. To learn more, visit www.vbsmedical.com and book your free trial today.
Welcome to the Treat Your Business podcast with Katie Bell. I'm Katie, and this is the place where clinic owners like you learn the strategies, tools, and mindset shifts needed to transform your clinic into a thriving business, one that gives you more time, more money, and more freedom. Born from a passion to challenge the idea that average is normal, we empower clinic owners to create extraordinary businesses, incomes, and lives. Through our world-class coaching programs, we help you step out of overwhelm and into confidence, turning your clinic into a business that fuels your lifestyle, not draining it. So, are you ready? Let's dive in. Hi, Charlie. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Katie. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. Charlie, tell everybody who you are.
Yeah, sure. My name's Charlie and I'm the founder of Klatch. We're a healthcare marketing agency working with predominantly clinics at the moment, but we started to venture out into the wider wellness space. We work with clinics really with an appetite for growth, turning over 20K plus a month. And we work as a kind of results-driven marketing partner, focusing on SEO, PPC, website optimization, really trying to help them drive growth for their clinic and quality leads.
Nice. And we're going to talk, Charlie, today about, as you said before we came on, not the most sexiest of subjects, but we're going to sexy it up as much as we possibly can for our listeners. The thing that you think is the most important thing is marketing attribution.
Yeah.
Being able to clearly understand where your leads and your inquiries are coming from.
Yeah.
And then leveraging what's working and dropping what's not, or changing what's not. So why do you feel like this is like the most important thing clinic owners need to be aware of?
I'll start with kind of a story. I guess it's probably the best way to give you an example of how we actually worked out that attribution was so important. So we're working with a friend of mine who owns a chiropractic clinic, and we were inheriting some clinics from different agencies, and we realized that they didn't truly know what was happening from a results perspective in their business. So a lot of agencies and marketeers will measure kind of traffic and clicks, but from a clinic perspective, that doesn't really drive the revenue or the numbers, or it doesn't give insight into the revenue and the numbers. What we've tried to do is coin attribution as the most important area for growth. And the reason for that is because you're making decisions based on data, not assumptions. When you truly know what's happening from an ROI perspective, and you can identify the top performing campaigns and channels that are working for your clinic and driving growth. And what this enables you to do is, over time, make data-backed decisions and grow with clarity and consistency. And over time, that compounds and you see the real clinic growth. So that's the reason why we think attribution is so important for clinic growth, to enable us to move forward and grow.
And do you find that most clinics that you start to work with, Charlie, don't know where their leads are coming from? Is it not something that they've ever really focused on before?
Yeah, definitely. It's hard to attribute true ROI from marketing. And one of the reasons for that is because there's lots of different ways to contact a clinic. So it could be through calls, it could be through forms on site. Trying to work out exactly if they turn into a new patient can be difficult. So for example, calls, a lot of existing patients will call a clinic. So actually separating out new and existing patients is really important to understand which calls we're converting, how many calls we're converting, and even like looking back and seeing how did they initiate their search for the clinic? Was it through a search term such as physio near me or physio in a location? And what happened on that call? Did they find what they needed with the clinic? And how much did they spend after calling the clinic and did they spend? So once you start to piece together the attribution pie, you can really truly understand where your money's going. And then once you know where your money's going and what's converting, you can then start to double down in areas which you know are performing well for your clinic.
And why can we not figure this stuff out for ourselves? Like, why do we need you to tell us this?
Yeah. But luckily, you do need us, which is why we're in business. So that's good. Typically, because tracking is a combination of tools that we use, unique KPIs that thankfully we've created the clinics now. And it's hard to piece together those different tools through these different APIs. So typically, for example, a clinic that works with us will, at the end of the month, we'll be able to give them an exact cost per patient, how much they're spending per patient, how much those patients are spending over the time with you, how much they spent in that month specifically, and how much they're forecasted to spend with your clinic over time. And the reason we can do that is because we do track the calls and the forms, and then we link in with your practice management software. So we work with a lot of clinics that work with different practice management softwares. There's NewCal, there's Clinico, there's Practice Help for chiropractors. So we're able to connect our marketing data that we track on site with your practice management software. And that's a very unique solution. I don't think anyone else is doing right now. And that gives us that data back. Without that system, we don't have the full picture of what's happening in your marketing.
That's amazing, because I always think at the end of the month, ultimately, and I love marketing people like you, Charlie, you know I do, but I just want to know how many new patients did I get booked in and how much did it cost me to get them booked in?
Exactly.
That's really the key, because obviously we want to know patient value average, we want to know lifetime value of them, we want to know retention rate and conversion rate, but I can fix a lot of that shit. Like I can figure that out with my team, and I can give them training, and I can look at our structure in clinic, and it's a whole thing, isn't it? But that bit that comes before it is we need that visibility on that data with that clarity, so we can then make the right decisions.
Exactly. And I think that's why I love working with clinics, because you guys are your clinic owner yourself, Katie. You're professional in your field. We're professionals in marketing. So what we want to do is take that pressure of lead generation away from you.
Yeah.
So you can then focus on what you want to do, whether that's your clinic operations, whether that's focusing on the patient.
Yeah.
We just want you to better trust your marketing growth partner to be able to do that. And that's the thing that kind of really upsets me with a lot of agencies out there is you invest your money and your time in agencies and they're not as transparent as they should be. So one of the things, one of our core beliefs is we want complete transparency. So whether or not you have a good month or a bad month, we will give you the transparent results, because if you don't give the transparent results, you can't truly know what's happening.
Yeah.
Now, is it declining because of seasonality, because it's December? Or did something break on the site? Or equally, why are we growing? What are the campaigns that are working? Is it an ACL treatment campaign? Is it a physio near me campaign? And how much are those people spending? So we can give you that accurate keyword reports on how much keywords are actually generating revenue in your clinic. So we can say, okay, cool, this keyword's generating this much revenue. This month, let's spend more there, because we know that's going to generate you more revenue in your clinic.
If I'm thinking about how to choose a great marketing agency or who to go with, what would you say is one of the biggest challenges or things that make it much harder for you to do your job when you're because we are obviously, if we want a marketing agency, we're going to go and speak to X, Y, and Z, and you're going to have a conversation with them all. And then we decide as the clinic owner, I quite like to go with Klatch, and that's who I want to work with. But what are your kind of parameters to ensure that we align with how you guys like to work? What would you say you need from us?
Yeah, it's a good question. Generally, the best thing is to put your trust in us, because most of the clinics we work with, they do that. But sometimes we have to build that trust, because the clinic owners come from a bad working relationship with an agency. So we have two initial goals for our clients. One is to start getting them results. And the second is to build their trust with agencies, because a lot of them don't trust agencies. The main ways we do that is we're so communicative. We're always ready to have a conversation with you, but we're also very trustworthy and authentic with our result. And when you start to see our reporting match your clinic reporting, because every clinic owner does their own reporting, they always know their numbers internally. But when they start to see that our numbers are matching their numbers, which typically hasn't happened in the past, that trust starts to build. And then once that trust starts to build, our relationship with a clinic owner and marketing agency can flourish because we trust each other. We can take the steps forward to grow. So that's the foundation of a good relationship between a clinic owner and a marketing agency. Then on top of that, I think the best thing is to have an appetite for growth, but also quality growth. So I think every clinic owner wants to grow, right? But they want to maintain the quality in their clinic. They don't want to have bad patient experiences. So it's working out that incremental plan of growth, making sure that we're keeping high quality and that growth happens incrementally over time. So yeah.
I love that. And how do you communicate to clinic owners? So what would that look like if somebody was working with you, Charlie? How much time do we speak? How often do we speak to you? How much visibility do we get? How do you deliver that?
Yeah, so we work on a growth period, and that's 3 months. So if we were to work with a clinic, or a clinic was to inquire with us, we'd do a whole audit of their website and their digital presence. Because typically, I always like to give the house analogy. There's always something that you can do. There's always areas of focus, where it's the kitchen, the bathroom, the hallways, the carpet. No site is ever perfect, and a site is always able to grow within certain parameters. So we're doing an audit for a clinic that inquires with us, and that will be typically 3 months. And that 3 months are really just getting the house in order. We're making sure that it loads fast. We're making sure that the booking funnel is efficient. Make sure that tracking is in place. Then after that 3 months, within that 3 months, where we speak every 2 weeks, we make sure that we're giving you the communication you need and we're getting everything we need from you, because we'll need access to your Google business profile, your ads, maybe even your team, if you want to start looking at ways of increasing efficiency, content or social media, etc. And then after that 3 months, after that kind of hyper growth period, we go into, depending on the level of package and the size of your clinic, monthly calls or fortnightly calls, again, depending on your appetite for growth as well. So typically what happens is a clinic come to us, we work for 3 months, we get them into a really nice kind of growth phase. And then they've got so much to focus on in the clinic that they probably don't want to speak to us as much. But then some clinic owners do. So it really depends on the clinic owner too.
And I guess if that level of trust is there, then they're trusting you that you're going to get reports every month. You can visibly see how things are performing, what we're changing, what we're working on.
Exactly. Because I think, like in terms of Klatch and why that our positioning in the market, clinic owners are in a really difficult position when it comes to marketing. They've got 3 options. The first is to hire a junior marketer, but they're typically lower skilled and they require quite a lot of oversight. They can hire a senior marketer, but they're highly skilled and also highly expensive. And sometimes they don't need like 5 days a week to focus on the clinic. Yeah. And then the other option is to hire an agency, but most agencies may not be transparent, or they may not, and they might tie you into a contract. So I think where we're different is we offer like an affordable, highly skilled solution that's results driven. And by giving that to the clinics, the repositioning as a marketing agency that drives results, that is affordable and helps you grow.
Yeah, I love that. Charlie, there's lots of talk about the generative search stuff that's going on and the changes that we're seeing in terms of AI taking over the whole world. Where does Klatch sit with this, and how have you moved your service to, I guess, take into consideration all the things that we're seeing change in the back end of marketing?
Yeah, so I think like the fundamentals of AI search are going to be similar to our approach to SEO. My background is actually SEO. So I've worked in SEO for kind of over 10 years in big, small sizes of companies across all across the world, essentially. The fundamentals of SEO have always been to have a great technical infrastructure, create great content, and brand build. Typically, it was link building. Now it's more brand and citation and other types of phrase building. So I think those are the core fundamentals of AI search as well. So even now, for example, we are tracking how our clinics rank in AI search. There isn't really any tools out there at the moment that are trustworthy enough to track AI search because it's such a new thing.
Yeah.
But one of the best things you can do is just look for where your clinic is present in an AI search for physio near me or Physiotherapy London. And typically right now, when we track our clients, they're all ranking, if not number one, very highly for those searches. And the reason for that is because of the SEO infrastructure that we're already doing for our clients.
Yeah.
So typically things like, these are going to be quite technical terms, but schema markup, making sure your website loads fast and all the pages are accessible, making sure the content is user focused. As we're doing those things, we're going to do well for the transition to AI search.
Okay.
And it's happening very quickly. I think last time I read, Google's market share dropped 5% in Q1. Bearing in mind it was like 91% for 15 years. It's a huge drop. It's millions and millions of searches. We're seeing it as an opportunity. I'm actually quite excited for our clinics. And I was having a chat with a clinic owner this morning, and he said, Charlie, are you worried about AI search? I was like, no, I'm overly optimistic about it. People are going to have to search for you. They're going to need you.
Yeah.
The demand is always going to be there. Yeah, I'm optimistic. And as long as we keep doing the fundamentals of being found on the web, I think we're positioned to help our clinics grow even further.
And for clinic owners that are not at 20K, what would be your advice to them?
My advice for clinic owners under 20K, brand building is new mode. I think it's like, collecting reviews, because I think one of the key ranking factors for local search is always going to be reviews. And that's been confirmed by people working within Google that I've spoken to. Reviews are, and replying to reviews and consistency of reviews and length of reviews, they're so important to local search. If you're under that, like building your review base is so important. If you can start to build your presence across multiple channels, whether that's Instagram, Google Business Profile, or even your website's content, make sure that there's a holistic approach to marketing, to growth as well. And I probably even recommend doing a bit of it yourself. It's a lot easier for somebody to create content these days because of AI.
Yeah.
So as long as you've got the right prompts and the right approach, probably at a smaller clinic, you're going to be really well placed to share stories.
Yeah.
To get to that figure, if you wanted to get to that figure. Yeah.
And I'm like really keen that when you grow in a business, and we work with clinic owners that in our Evolve program that are like 1 to 4K revenue, they might be doing this with an NHS job on the side. They've not jumped into this full time. And I think people get completely overwhelmed as to, do I build my own website on Squarespace or whatever the hell it is? Do I invest $5,000 on a new website? Do I go down the SEO route, or do I spend that money on PPC first? Or there's so many questions that are unclear for people at that stage. And I think I am always looking strategically at their business and what they need to do in what order. And I don't think there's ever a one size fits all piece of advice here.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on somebody building their own website?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So it's actually the best answer for me is actually non-marketing based. It's the location of your presence. For us, like the clinics that see the most growth, right? Their location is in an area where there's high footfall. There's also high demand. So looking at search volume for the area, the demographic of the area. So if you're that small, and let's say you're working with the NHS and you maybe have a treatment room somewhere you're leasing from a gym or whatever, the location is always going to be the best first decision that you make. Yeah. The second thing is your name. So we work with a client who's called Chiswick Physio, Nathan Carter. His location is he's on a bus route in Chiswick, so he gets loads of people going past. But equally, his name is what people are searching for, Chiswick Physio. And that already brings brand connotation with it. Yeah. Because Chiswick's quite an affluent area. Yeah. So it's what you say on the tin. So as a smaller clinic owner, I'd say a sole practitioner, location and name are two of the best decisions you can make at the beginning.
Yeah.
After that, it doesn't really matter where you build your website, whether it's Squarespace, WordPress, whatever. It's more like the brand building, just making sure you're focusing in the right areas. I would probably recommend speaking to somebody that knows about SEO and PPC. At that stage, an agency like us probably wouldn't be best, but you could find someone quite easily for £500 a month that would get you to that next level. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that would be my recommendation: location, name, and getting some expertise in just at a lower price point.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think that we often at that level think that we can create the fix. So if I build my website, and in short term, whilst that might be a cost-effective solution for you,
what we often hear then is we go to an agency and they go, well, your website's crap, so we need to rebuild that first, and then we can start working on your SEO, PPC. So it's just having the goal of where you're going, where you want to be in the future. And I always think you need to start acting like that's already happening.
Yeah, 100%. Like manifestation in a
Yeah.
way. And the thing is with like most clinic owners is they've chosen their vocation for a reason. They want to help people. They've gone through all this years of experience and learning. We're so fortunate to work with clinic owners because they do want to provide and help, and they're different to other types of business owners. So I think 100%, like they're really, every clinic owner I work with or we work with are amazing at what they do. You don't really get any horrible clinic owners. Like you just don't. Like they wouldn't be in business. It just wouldn't work.
Like I always think we're in this industry because we really care about people. We want to do the right thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that's brilliant in a lot of respects, but it's often why our industry is undervalued. We're undercharging. We're not treating our clinics like businesses. We're treating them like clinics, that we are it, rather than it being a clinic and a business and a brand. And we are on the outside of that, looking and managing it. I think it works in both ways, but being strategic and knowing ultimately your 12-month plan is, your 3-year, 5-year, even ahead, will help you make decisions in the business. And when it comes to like, when do I invest in PPC? When do I invest in SEO? When do I invest in a website? They're all great questions, but it's about ultimately where we're going, where do we want to be?
Yeah.
And people say to me, we hear this all the time, I don't like doing projections because I think it's just finger in the air, load of bullshit. And I'm like, it is. Plucking numbers out your backside of where you think you're going to go, but at least you then are taking the actions that are going to get you there. You're being strategic about what you should be spending your money on, shouldn't be spending your money.
I love this saying, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. And it's the whole reason why we double down on attribution. I hate, and we very rarely do this, but it has happened in the past, going to a meeting and not being able to tell a clinic owner exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
How much have you spent? How much is your return? How many leads are you getting accurately? Because that's the foundation of growth. If you don't know what's happening, you cannot move forward. And the thing is as well, what a lot of people forget is when you're making the right decisions month over month, they compound. So a decision made 3 months ago, and then another decision made 2 months ago, those decisions compound and they end up creating a growth machine.
Yeah.
Now, if you make one wrong decision in that process, or let's just say, for example, your call tracking stops. Typically older people who don't want to use their phones will use a call to call. And they're not typically the people that spend the most with your clinic. If you make the wrong decision, like turning calls off or removing a call button, that can have the opposite compounding effect over time. So you can start to see the decline over time. Measuring is the most important thing, and knowing where you're going is, again, one of the most important things for growth. And within reason, because not every clinic owner wants to just be 6 clinics hyper growth.
No.
You just want to have a sustainable, lean business that provides quality service.
And gives them a life that they want to live, because that's ultimately why we're doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Charlie, how can people reach out to you if they want to continue this conversation? If they are a clinic that might sit in the category that you want to work with, what's the next steps?
So we, on our website, you'll get direct access to a call with me and my head of marketing, Ben Sweet. And we'd have just a really informal chat. And before that call, we'd look into your current presence online. So we had some things to discuss. And if it's a good fit, we would then go away and do a very comprehensive audit of your website and your presence and what your unique growth solution looks like, which is normally like a 10-page document that's very thorough. And then what we do is we use that research and that analysis to then, if we end up working with each other, for your first 3 months worth of growth. So we're very transparent. We have turned away clinics that we don't think is a good fit. And I also do have a really great bunch of freelancers that I have access to that might be a better fit for a clinic that is not quite ready to work with us. So yeah, just visit our site and look in our recall.
Amazing. I'll make sure that the site goes on our show notes, Charlie, so they can access that nice and easily. And before we go, what's the
biggest thing you want somebody to take away from this episode?
The biggest thing that I'd want clinic owners to take away.
Yeah, just like
Yeah.
the one thing that you want them to leave with, or you want them to like remember this episode for.
Yeah, I think I always want to provide value. And I think the way that the world is going in terms of AI search, it's moving very fast. Brand building is going to be the most important lever and foundation of growth. So if you're a clinic owner or you want to build your presence and your business, really focus on your like personal brand and your actual business brand, because they're both synonymous with each other now. And people buy from people as well as businesses. So focus on collecting those reviews, focus on brand building, focus on giving value to your user base. Yeah.
Amazing. Charlie, thank you so much.
Thanks. Take care, Katie. Bye.
Thank you.